unconscious. The second person was approximately 1 mile west of Tunnel 1. The two victims were separated. Mutual aid was then requested from Arvada Fire, who sent a heavy rescue, a medic unit, and a total of 6 personnel. Arvada Fire performed the rescue of the individual trapped on the rock further to the west, and Golden Fire treated the patient that was unconscious and removed from the river by bystanders. In total, of the 4 persons within the same group that were all inner tubing, 3 sustained injuries, 2 required transport to the hospital by ambulance, and 1 unfortunately died as a result of the injuries sustained while inner tubing in this dangerous stretch of Clear Creek Canyon. Yesterday's fatality was the second death recorded within just 4 days. Another individual unfortunately died on Sunday, July 2nd, after attempting to recreate in a raft in the same general area. The City of Golden has instituted a flagging system correlated with the amount of water flowing in cubic feet per second. Green, yellow, red, and double red flag are used to indicate the general relative level of danger in the creek and precautions to be implemented. Golden Fire responds to all water-related distress calls in Golden and in Jefferson County just west of the city. It is encouraged that if anybody is attempting to recreate in the water, they follow all posted signage. They recreate with the appropriate personal flotation devices and protective equipment such as helmets and life jackets, and they obey the posted flags indicating the relative level of danger posed by the creek. In light of the 2 deaths yesterday, our thoughts are with the families of the deceased over the past 4 days. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jeffco.
Mary Ann Bonnell, I'm the Visitor Services and Natural Resources Director with Jefferson County Open Space. I want to echo the comments from Golden. And I also wanted to add that Jefferson County Open Space balances access for recreation with safety. This creek is not safe to be on a tube west of Grant Terry Bridge. We can't say it more plainly than that. Do not tube west of Grant Terry Bridge. Please follow all posted signage for your safety and for the safety of your friends and family. Do not talk friends and family into going somewhere that they aren't familiar with, and do not tube in areas that you are unfamiliar with. This canyon is deceiving. It is beautiful. It is wonderful. It is a place to find solitude, but it can also lull you into a false sense of security. And you need to take this canyon and this river extremely seriously. And you need to follow all posted signage. And Jefferson County Open Space has posted no tubing at all of our official water access points. So if you are using official water access points, you will see the signage there that says no tubing. How are we enforcing that? We're actually having rangers at the trail. We turned away over 50 people over the holiday weekend that were headed in the wrong direction with their inner tube. We're mainly doing education contacts, but we can write a citation for being in the wrong area with an inner tube. And with that, I'll turn it over to questions.
Talked a lot about that dangerous stretch of the canyon there, but we still closer to town here, of course. It's under a yellow flag. There's a lot of people right behind you right now and everything. Is there anything you can speak to about, I suppose, the safety of this stretch of the creek as well?
So this stretch of the creek, there's a difference in the way the canyon is. As you go further west, the canyon narrows. And the boulders are, as you get to this low of a CFS, you can have more injury from trauma and foot entrapment. And so this area is different because of the way this is more open. And so you can see it's kind of, not that any part of the canyon is safe or any part of the river is guaranteed safe, but the structure of the river becomes much more dangerous as you head west. The rapids are more dangerous, the rock structure is more dangerous, and at any CFS, it's too much for a tube.
Signs clearly posted up in that area. Any additional plans following these 2 deaths?
Thank you for asking. We do have water access signs posted. We added additional laminated signage to that. We also added a variable message board parked down on the trail. We also plan to do some additional enhancements. We can only sign so much. We need people to really pay attention and also just understand their limits. Also know that we have commercial providers that are renting tubes, and with that rental they are getting a safety talk that talks about where you can put in and where you can't put in, and people are either choosing to not listen to that safety talk, disregard that safety talk, or dismiss that safety talk. And all of those are things that you need to, when you're coming to a new place, to try a new recreation activity, you really need to pay attention to the safety talk.
I talked to a lot of people today who are wondering why lifeguards aren't, or life jackets aren't legally required on the water. Are they legally required, life jackets? Is there anything people can do about life jackets being seen on the water?
Do you want to answer that one?
I can speak to the life jackets not currently being legally required by the outfitters for the person's tubing. It's encouraged. During the safety talk, they talk about the importance. Right now, it's still left up to the individual skill level of the person in the inner tube. And as she mentioned, this part of the river is engineered. There's better creekside access for rescues. It's not that any part of the creek is without danger, but there's better access in case somebody is to get in trouble. As you can see here, the access to this part of the creek, the way it's engineered to put people through the rapids is a bit safer because we have control over it. It still encourages everybody to wear flotation devices, but right now it's not required by law.
And can you walk me through what the different flags mean?
I'll let you do that, but I do want to mention a couple more things about personal protective equipment. If you are going tubing, just the basics of a life preserver or a flotation vest, a helmet, and foot protection are great basics. If you can add to that a baseball cap underneath your helmet, because if you do end up with water laminating over your face, that baseball cap can create a little pocket for you to breathe. So these are hard things to think about, but you do want to be thinking about your personal protective equipment. And those are the basics. Beyond that is a wetsuit, because I don't know if you've been in this creek, but the moment you go in this creek, it will take your breath away. It is shocking. So those are some basic PPE. And if you want to talk about the flags.
So roughly the creek is flagged with 4 different flags. We have green, yellow, red, and double red. What they indicate is not that there's no danger at any time with the creek. Under the green flag, it's less than 300 CFS, cubic feet per second. Under yellow, it's 300 to 800. Even though it's yellow and it's flagged yellow, most of our rescues do occur within the city of Golden between 300 and 800 CFS. That gives you an idea that while it may appear to be low enough to be safe enough to go and enjoy the water, we do perform most of our assistance bringing people from the water, flipping over in inner tubes during that period. So yellow, although it indicates cubic feet per second, doesn't necessarily equate to no rescues. Red is over 800 CFS, and double red, we talk about environmental conditions such as runoff, if there's anything in the water that shouldn't be in the water, if there's any hazards, something floating downstream, or if it's exceptionally high flows due to high snow runoff.
You said that you're focusing on education, but you can issue citations. Have you issued any in the last few weeks?
We did. We issued one over the weekend. It's a civil infraction, and it's $100 for disobeying a posted notice. Yeah, and we do that in a situation where, again, this because of this person's actions, we probably had 40 emergency response professionals on scene and a lot of equipment, and we felt like that was reasonable in that situation.
This could be for Mary or Casey. Can you describe that rescue yesterday? The video of the woman clinging to the rock in the middle, and what went into that effort, and then also into trying to save the man while in the hospital.
Sure, so yesterday I can speak as not only the Deputy Chief of Operations, but also the incident commander on that incident. Initially, Golden Fire responded with our resources. As I mentioned, Arvada Fire responded with mutual aid. What goes into that effort is not only park rangers, but Jefferson County sheriffs. We have Golden Police that responded. Anybody in the area was heading up the creek. The toughest part about the creek rescues is not only, and I talk about access within the city of Golden, when persons are reported in the river, it's very difficult to locate their location by the time we actually mobilize the resources to be at the location where we can make access. Then access points are limited. What we're finding with access along the Peaks to Plains trails is people have the ability to now access different parts of the creek, but it doesn't mean that we have the crossover points with our apparatus and our personnel to get there. So involved in that rescue, I mentioned it was a split scene. The command post due to the canyon and radio traffic and radio communications, we were staged east of Tunnel 1. All the emergency resources were west of Tunnel 1. Just west of Tunnel 1 was one point of rescue, and further up about a mile was another point of rescue. We did have fairly good information from cell coverage or cell phone RPs. The coverage in the canyon on cell phone is actually pretty good. It's just attempting to understand how fast the creek is flowing, what our access points are, and then we only have 1 or 2 chances to rescue somebody going downstream with toss bags, and it's very dangerous for us to put the people in the water to rescue the swimmers. For that individual on the rock, she was becoming very tired. The individual who was further or closer to tunnel 1 was, like I said, pulled by bystanders and assisted. So we were assisted by people in the river. That's been the circumstance on both of these rescues over the course of 2 different days.
Are there any averages for how many deaths we see along the river every summer? Is this already at a high number to see 2 within 4 days? Or is this unfortunately what we see in some
2 within 4 days is unusual, I would say, but this creek, the 2 within 4 days is an unusual number, I would say, but Clear Creek does precipitate drownings on an annual basis, unfortunately. And that can be tubers, that can be swimmers, that can be experienced kayakers, that can be someone who's even walking out on the ice in the wintertime. So it's not just a summer thing with this creek.
Why did you guys feel it's so important to call this briefing today?
What do you guys call that one?
Well, the loss of any life is unacceptable as far as we're concerned. These are individuals that are going out to recreate in our beautiful communities. We've put procedures and signage in place to discourage inappropriate use and try to raise the awareness of the level of danger and perceived danger. This might look like a safe environment. We've got people enjoying the creek today. This person's got a personal flotation device on, but we're just encouraging that everybody understand that while there is enjoyment to be had in the creek, there's a relative level of danger. If we can highlight the fact that we've had 2 deaths over the last 4 days, unfortunately, maybe that will raise awareness of the fact that something like that is potential, and it goes in the complete opposite direction of what's intended by people enjoying the creek.
I talked to one community member who would like to see life jackets made required. I mean, is there anything going forward to legally enforce any safety precautions for people who are on the creek, or is that just too difficult?
I think it's a great question, and anytime you're talking about making something required, you're talking about enforcement and whether it's enforceable, but also when you talk about something like that, there's also this line, do you need a life jacket to just walk to the edge of the creek? Do you need a life jacket to put your feet in? So at what point do you need the life jacket on? So there's a lot of sort of gray area in that too that make it more complex than it would just seem to say, let's just require life jackets. The other thing too that I think we all want to keep in mind with this creek is it is this wonderful community gathering place. And they're really, when you start to require expensive gear that has to be fit and all that, you start to create barriers for use. And so we want to be thoughtful about that as well. Yeah. We want to keep this a community place that you don't have barriers to access, if that makes sense. It's that balance, safety and allowing people to have that fun recreational opportunity that they're looking for.
You mentioned additional signage. Has been talk of additional patrols or manpower. I know it's a very large area.
That's a great question, and we do take patrol very seriously. Our ranger team comprises 29 rangers. We also have about 130 volunteer park patrollers, and they are helping us out with Clear Creek. But you're talking about a long summer day and a holiday weekend, and it was a lot of use this weekend. So staying on top of all those folks. Again, we're asking people to take some personal responsibility and pay attention to the safety talk if you're renting gear, and also pay attention to the signage around you and know your own limits and know the limits of your family and friends. That's really the big message here. Anything else?
Are there any other additional questions?
Thank you.